Hey everyone, Shaun Stevenson here, author of the Throne series, and it is back to school season already. I can't believe it. In the South here in August, school has already started for a lot of people. So, school is back in session. I know in some places it doesn't start till September, but for a lot of places, school's already back, and if it's not back quite yet, you have seen at all the stores the school displays and school supplies. I am not going to lie, I'm a huge school supply fan. I love buying random school supplies like folders and things that I will never use in my entire life, but I still want to buy them. All the office supplies, I highly enjoy them. But that said, I thought it'd be really fun to get on here and talk about some school-themed books that I own. So these are all the different ones I pulled that have school as a theme. Now, for the rules for this, they had to be specifically about a school event, like a field trip or a class election, or a school was the main backdrop of the series. It couldn't just be that in the book they happen to go to school. Like that happens in a lot of Goosebumps books where they're at school at some points, but I was looking for the ones that are specifically about school or homework, etc. So I have quite a little stack here of some recommends, some not recommends, but these are all the school-themed ones I have. So the first one I want to start off with is a series that is all about school. It is the cornerstone of this series is that education is being destroyed by creatures that only janitors in schools can see. And that series is none other than Janitors by Tyler Whitesides. If you have not read this series, it is so much fun. It is a series literally about school janitors who are fighting these mysterious creatures that are literally sucking the brainwaves of kids in schools, and the janitors are trying to destroy them. There is a lot going on in this series, so much lore, and way more than just that. What I just described is the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to the series than that, and I absolutely have loved these books. I've read the first 3 so far. I have 2 to go, and so far it hasn't let me down. I've really enjoyed these books. So this is book number 1, Janitors. And then book number 2, Secrets of New Forest Academy, where things get really wild in this one. It was a lot of fun. It has such a great ending that I loved so much. Anyway, I can't talk about it because spoilers, but this was such a fun book. And then book number 3, which I just read in July, is Curse of the Broomstaff, which this one was a lot of fun too, and again adds to the lore of everything that's going on in this series. And then this one I haven't read yet. It is number 4, Strike of the Sweepers. I do not know what's going on this cover, so I cannot wait to read it and find out more. And then the last book in the series, number 5, Heroes of the Dustbin. So obviously I haven't read this one yet either, but I can't wait to read it. Next, I've got another fantasy series, and this one, it's kind of similar to a Harry Potter kind of style, which, yes, I did not include Harry Potter on this list because everyone's read that series. So I'm going on to other stuff. So this series is called Millie Maven, and it's by Ted Dekker and his daughter, Rochelle Dekker. And this is book number 1, Millie Maven and the Bronze Medallion. And this one takes place at a school, which is like a school for gifted students who have kind of X-Men kind of powers, so they can do different things like wind or, telekinesis, stuff like that. They can read things fast, like all different sorts of powers like that. So this one, it's a lot of fun. There's 3 books in the series, and they really have to be read back to back to back because there's a lot going on in them, and I think you do get lost if you don't read them back to back to back. This was a fun series. It's a Christian book series. It's a fantasy series. So there is the Christian element in here as well. And it's, like I said, set at a school that's kind of this magical school where there's students with X-Men type powers. So that stuff is a lot of fun. There's a lot of good mystery here and some interesting lore that Ted Dekker and Rochelle Dekker have built in this series. So I definitely recommend this one. This is book number 2, Millie Maven and the Golden Vial, which was a lot of fun. I remember reading this one and enjoying it. And then the last book in the trilogy, Millie Maven and the White Sword. All 3 of these are middle grade books that are just a lot of fun. And as you can tell, there is quite the climax that is going on in this book. And I can't say anything about this cover, but there's a lot happening. That it's a lot of fun. Next, I've got another series for you. This is a series set in Graveyard School. I just read the first book in this series by Tom B. Stone, Don't Eat the Mystery Meat, and it was a lot of fun. It was about a very mysterious cafeteria lady who may or may not be serving things that are, FDA approved. Who knows? But this was a lot of fun. This is the first book in the series, and there's a bunch in this series. All of these books take place at Grove Hill School, also known as Graveyard School, because there's a graveyard across the street from the school. And this series was a lot of fun. I read the first one, like I said, and I really enjoyed it. I highly recommend this one. And I don't have the whole series, but these are the ones I do have in the Graveyard School series. I also have book number 5, Revenge of the Dinosaurs, and then book number 8, Let's Scare the Teacher to Death, which this one sounds so odd. I am very curious about it. It's basically about like making this teacher laugh and she like falls over. I don't really know. It sounds very interesting. So I'm curious what's going on in this book. And then the last one I have in this series is book number 11, April Ghoul's Day. So I'm curious what's happening in this book, but could be interesting to find out, but I'm going to have to wait because I'm going to read this one April Fool's Day. So it's my April Fool's read for next year. Next, I've got another book that this one is from the 90s and it's based off a television show. There were like 8 episodes of, so it's like a limited run series. And this is called, from the Secret Adventure series, Spin, book number 1. And the subtitle is Truth, Tubas, and George Washington. And this book is by Dave and Nita Jackson and is all about a class election. So there's like these 2 girls that are going up for class president and they are against each other, like trying to win the class presidency, and some shenanigans happen, of course, and lots of funny things. So it's kind of like some comedy and imagination type stuff happening, and it's a lot of fun. I highly enjoyed this one. And then a book I can't really recommend, but it is a school book, and that is The Berenstein Bears and the School Scandal Sheet by Stan and Jan Berenstein. Now, I just read this one. I reread it. I had read it a long time ago when I was a kid, and I just reread it. And I'm just going to say this one has a storyline that was not appropriate in the 90s and is not appropriate now. So I don't recommend this one. In this one, the Cubs are creating their own like underground newspaper because the school newspaper is very locked down and rigid. And so they want to create their own school newspaper, and they say some things they shouldn't say, some scandalous things. So this one I can't really recommend, like I said, because it has a situation talked about in it that I thought, oh, this is too complicated for a, second grade, third grade reading level book. You shouldn't be talking about this in this kind of setting. It's just too complicated and you don't have the space, the pages, the words, the nuance to be able to talk about it in the way that you need to. So it's a mixed bag. I don't really recommend it, but I do have it. So here it is. Next, I searched through the different Fright Time books that I have. These are books that have like 3 novellas in them in one, and this one has a school story in it, and it's called Cemetery School. So this one is Cemetery School. It's about this kid whose school is falling apart, and there's some spooky things happening. While the school is brand new, it is falling apart. So this one could be a fun, spooky read for you if you're looking for a spooky back-to-school read. Next, this is a book I haven't read, but it looked really interesting to me, and it has a school bus on it. So that is The Ghostmobile by Kathy Kennedy Tapp. And this one is about these 2 kids who one day see this phantom school bus, and they discover that there is a mystery that the school bus driver has been trying to solve all these years. And so they have to try and help and solve the mystery. So it looks like a lot of fun. I haven't read this one yet, but I'm excited to. Next, I've got a couple books from the Spine Tingler series that are really focused about school. So the first one is book number 1, The Substitute Creature by M.T. Coffin. So this one is about a substitute teacher who may not be all they appear to be. And then, apologies to my wife, but this one is about a librarian at the school, and this one is called book number 5, Check It Out and Die. So I'm curious what's happening in this one. I kind of want to read this one just to see what's going on in it. Next up, I have a book from the Bone Chiller series, and it is literally called Back to School. So this book is another cafeteria lunch lady story. So I'm going to read it and see how it compares to Don't Eat the Mystery Meat. But this one does look entertaining. We'll have to find out what happens. I haven't read any Bone Chillers yet, but a lot of people really like this series. So I'm excited to read this one. So this is one, I don't know if I can recommend it because it is gruesome. A gruesome kids book. I actually don't think this should be a kids book personally because it is gruesome. And that is book number 10 in the Shivers series. The Curse of the New Kid. This book had one of the most disturbing sequences I've ever read in a kid's book. It was so disturbing, and I almost stopped reading because I thought, oh, no, I don't like that at all. This one is all about a new kid, and new kid might be cursed. Or maybe the new kid can curse anyone who bullies the new kid. So this one's real intense. I can't say like, oh, I recommend it. But if you like intense books, this one is really intense and it is gruesome, like I said. And then we couldn't get by without getting a Goosebumps book in here. Which one do you think I chose about school? Now, there is one that would be a really obvious choice, but I don't have it. So these are books that I have. And this one is Go Eat Worms, book number 21, which is all about homework and worms and all those good things. So this one is, it really, even though it doesn't exactly always take place at school is a major part of this one and the homework situation. So there you go. Next, I have a Spine Chillers book for you from the Spine Chillers series, also known as the Spine Chillers Mystery Series by Freddie Katz. And that is The Phantom of Phys Ed, book number 5. This one is all about a PE class and then also a sports team at a school, which there's a possible ghost that is haunting the sports basketball team. So this one was a lot of fun. This one is one of my favorites of the Spine Chiller series. I really enjoyed this one. This series is very different from a Goosebumps series or any of those sorts of things. It's a Christian spooky series. So there's a lot of different sorts of things going on. Although I have to say at the very end of this book, there are some very irresponsible adults that I thought, what are you doing? Why are you not doing that and taking care of that situation? Because that is dangerous. So this one was wild. And then the last one I have here is a series by Anthony Horowitz. It's actually a duology, and it was a lot of fun, especially if you like Universal Monsters kind of stuff. This one's a really fun one. This is Grewsham Grange, which is a kind of a spooky school that like vampires and stuff go to, like Vampire Kids and all these sorts of things. And this one has some really interesting stuff going on in it. Anthony Horowitz is really good at mystery, and this one is kind of like a spooky mystery set in a school. It's not super long either, so it's a great, easy read. This one's a lot of fun. And then this one is a sequel to that one, The Return to Grewsham Grange, The Unholy Grail. And it is a sequel, but the first book ends very satisfactorily. It's not in the sense of like, ooh, it's a two-parter and I gotta read the next one to find out what happens. This one's like a whole new story set with the same characters and the same location. So these ones are a lot of fun if you like spooky kind of, like I said, Universal Monster kind of stuff. Like, there's like Frankenstein kind of kids and vampire kids and ghost kids and stuff like that. So this one's really that kind of Universal Monsters, but at a spooky school. So those are all the books I picked that have something to do with school in them in some way. And so take a look, see if there's something you might want to read for this back to school season. So until next time, everybody, keep reading. Bye.